Aloha. Good morning. Good day. Good microphone crinkle for you there. Welcome to Office Hours Korean Natural Farming for October 29th, 2023. It's amazing. The year is just going by. It's had a full moon last night. Beautiful. That means that it was a full moon last night, then tonight is a little less than a full moon. And then tomorrow starts the La'au days. For 3 days, there'll be La'au, meaning that, like La'au is Hawaiian moon phase, meaning that it's plants. And those are known as the medicinal days. And those are traditionally good times in the morning to gather the plant material. If you're going to make a plant juice, a fruit juice, gathering those in the morning when the when the sun and the moon are still above the horizon, that means the most juice is sucked up into the plants, and one of the best times to get the most medicinal plants harvested. So harvest them then. You'll just find there's extra potency of all the enzymes and hormones and, chlorophylls and all those good things that you're trying to gather up in there. So yeah, last night there was, I think, an eclipse, not on our part of the world. Here, I don't think we could see it here at the time, but somewhere. I saw it was in Athens at least. But yeah, so good favorable times. Missed the full moon, missed the Halloween, but coming up, I wore my disguise for Halloween. Yeah, it's a pretty cheap costume. Just causes carpal tunnel in your wrists. But before we get too far into it, let's get some higher wisdom before I get out in my own zone. And today, it's not always the interesting thing about seeking influence from the higher powers. It's not always good. It's sometimes, the life is up, waxes and wanes. And today is number 38. It is a fire over a lake, which stands for opposition. And it says that misunderstanding truth creates opposition. So there are many occasions in life which tempt us into negative thoughts. Anxiety about the future, mistrust of another person, bodily pain, fear of failure, or even fear of success. All these tempt us into mistrusting life and believing that life is against us. When we fall into this trap, we are in opposition to the workings of the creative, and success becomes impossible. The simple truth is that every moment in every person's life is the teaching he or she needs most at that time. It's not always immediately apparent why a thing is happening, because the sage is often inclined to work in a roundabout fashion. Nonetheless, whatever is happening now is what must happen. Our only task is to trust the process and allow the lesson to seep in. This hexagram comes as a signal that you are resisting life and preventing your own progress. Nonetheless, success is still possible. Nonetheless, success is still possible. I just read that. For every opposition carries within it the seeds of agreement. Cease resisting yourself others, life, the sage. Let go of dark thoughts and aggressive actions. By returning to acceptance, neutrality, devotion to the way of the sage, you dissolve the opposition within yourself and open the way for understanding and good fortune to arrive. So, yeah, opposition. It's a great one. Seems pretty apropos for the day here. I mean, not that it's beautiful here. It's gorgeous. Everything looks amazing, but worrying about the future, all these things, you know. So my wife and I, we often look at our dog and we're like, Pooch doesn't care. Pooch is just in the moment. Pooch isn't worried what's happening around the world. Pooch isn't even worried about finding a meal later today. She just is in the moment. And if things don't come, then she reacts right in that moment. And, so take some advice from your dogs. And if you're just listening, you missed the video of all these gesticular articulations that I do for those. I really dig the I Ching. I really dig it, and it always seems to be hard hitting, good. And it's kind of funny the opposition that it's given me here. I was just kind of thinking of it this morning, and it's like I was just like, man, having this class coming up and have few good folks come in, but I'm like, man, I always wish there were more people showing up to do it, to be part of the class. Because what I got, let me transition this screen over here. What I got on this side of the screen, we'll switch over here to this one and switch on over, is that when people come here, they take the class, great things happen out in the world. And just to prove that to you, I don't know if this is proof, but Pedro Camargo emailed me actually October 15th, so a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to mention it last week. Yeah, eyewitness, you know what's up. Great people come. But look at this. Pedro is having a class down in Brazil. So Pedro, this great guy right here, he is an amazing father, teacher, educator, earth preserver, amazing dude. Great chef, by the way. He taught me how to cook a few things that I know how to cook things. And he also taught me a lot about bananas. Basically I was cutting my bananas just flat, and he's like, bro, you got to cut a little divot in the inside. That way it'll fill with water and then things won't get infected. And it's like, man, I learned a lot. So I always appreciate that exchange. But Pedro, Peer KNF certified, he came here, took the class, got everything downloaded. And I don't speak Portuguese, but I'm just going to imagine that this says immersive agriculture, natural Korean, because natural, apparently we share that word in common, natural. So I do know a few Portuguese words. One of them is natural. But Korean natural farming, agriculture, if it was an E, we'd have the same word too, but agricultura, that's cool. And I'm assuming it's 8 to 10 December, because Decembro, what's up? That sounds pretty legit. But if you are in the Brazilian region, which I think he lives near São Paulo, I don't know how to. Apparently, it's probably at this place, I would imagine. I don't know. I'm just shooting off the cuff, trying to interpret these languages that I don't know. And Metodo de Melhoramento de Solo. I can't even pronounce this, but I'm sure I'm butchering it. But I know that if you get to this class, you are going to get an immersive education, and you're going to be just, out of your mind in terms of just like, wow. And Pedro couldn't be a better guy to teach and spread pure KNF. And so, even with that opposition, I'm like, I've come to realize in my life that it's like I'm making only a tiny, perhaps microscopic difference in the world. But, maybe that'll get infectious and turn into a huge, influence. And it's things like this where I get proud, where people are doing other things and they're working really well. So, and then let me pull up this other, it's not on that tab. Let me pull it. It's in this tab. I want to pull up this because also, what's up everybody? Yeah, Pedro for the win. Also, I got a message a couple weeks ago. Let me pull this one up and swap this over. Unfortunately, yeah, hang on. Let me see if I can slide this in and then do this. Will it do it? Okay, yeah. So, and then I know this happened yesterday. So it's old news, but it's exciting, good, amazing news is that, another student of mine, Bronson Lubresky, came here. It's not actually Lubresky, but Lubresky. He's my broski. Came here 2020 in the height of the scamdemic, and learned all about natural farming here. And now he moved back to Alabama, where he's from. And in the middle, he texted me this the other day, and he actually called me the day before this of just, I think his excitement was getting to him. He's a really mellow dude, but I think he was super excited about this. In the capital of Alabama, in Birmingham, which is like, he had a class yesterday at this he's an urban regional extension agent, which, now he learned natural farming, and now he's penetrating into like the university environment. This came from like a .edu email. He's getting in and working with the Alabama extension. And so he did a class from 9 to noon. So nice. And had this thing happen. And what did he do? It says, come learn about Korean natural farming and create inputs. Solutions using local resources from a certified Korean natural farming instructor. Learn to increase land fertility with indigenous microorganisms and build more life in soil, plants, animals, and humans. And this event was free with limited space available. You had to pre-register, so now you actually got a time machine if you want to go attend. And yeah, so he's working at the Jones Valley farm, which I don't know if they have a website, but it's this teaching farm. He's telling me they bring like inner city kids there and educate people and just like all around goodness. And I think they made some plant juice and some water soluble calcium. So plant juice and some reproduction, KNF reproduction, the calciums, and seemed like a good time. So, and when he called me on the phone, he was reminiscing. He like pulled up these photos from where he was at, and he just remembered what a good time it was, and he actually camped up at the barn and really took amazing care of the IMO pile and got to know all my animals really well, and he was like, "You still doing pigs?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm still doing pigs." In fact, I got some photos of the pigs. I took these photos. I text them back. This is Papa Lalo, my boar. What a sweet boy. And then we got, can I just go to the next photo? No. And then we got baby Bacon. She's about to go in the freezer. That sweet little lady. And then we got Short Ribs here, and then her daughter, Golden Girl. And so the pigs, always having those running around. And Bird, thank you for super chats. Amazing. Thank you. And also thanks everyone for tuning in. We got Cam 2 in the house, Chris Flores, Printer Bear, Neverac here for the good word. Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, so all good folks tuning in. But, even in the face of opposition, it's like there's good things happening. What can happen, will happen, what must happen. And I think the key, I was looking at this thing. I'll pull it up. It's a Testament of Ieyasu. Yeah, here. I'm just gonna pull this up. But I was getting down on some Zen stuff here. And, oftentimes, like I Ching, we're taught to like take aggressive action and stuff. But this guy, he basically kicked some butt in Japan, unified. He was at the right place at the right time, was really patient, made his move at the right time. But I also like this. It says, so I'm just going to read the translation here. It says, life is like walking along a long road, shouldering a heavy load. There is no need to hurry. One who treats difficulties as the normal state of affairs will never be discontented. Patience is the source of eternal peace. Treat anger as an enemy. Harm will befall one who knows only success and has never experienced failure. Blame yourself rather than others. It is better not to reach than to go too far. So again, with all these things, but I really like this one. The one who treats difficulties as a normal state of affairs will never be discontented. It's, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've always, been lately, my wife and I have just been like, if life is sorrow, then anything else than that is upbeat from there. And if it returns to sorrow, it's just the normal state of affairs. So it's not really that bad. And it's enabled me to be just in a more Zen place. And if you're not in that Zen, or if you're feeling good, and it's all good, I don't mean to like bring anyone down or anything, or be like, you're totally cool to be there. But I was just making that so you can see Master Cho here. And he also does a bunch of the Eightfold Path type of, Christian, treat others as they would, Path of Jesus type of good stuff, and all these wise people that have come before us to impart this knowledge of basically like, chill out, bro. It's going to be okay. It's heavy. Don't rush. Right? And as we go into winter, my sister in Colorado, got to talk to her. She said it was just starting to snow on them, and getting into winter for everybody. So we got Joe here. What's up, Joe? Long Island in the house. We may have our first freeze Wednesday with a few weeks early for Zone 7B. Forecasts say 34 Fahrenheit. That's pretty darn cold. So sad, lots of unique summer fruit still in the plants. Got so much this year. KNF, awesome. Yeah, so with these winter questions, actually there's a few. Soup season, very excited. Milk was a bad choice. Milk was actually a good choice. I like milk year round. No, so let me just I don't where I'm at here doesn't freeze, but in Korea, where I learned this from, it does freeze. So if you have frost-like conditions coming at you, and you know it, and you can predict, like, the weather guy is pretty accurate, and these frost-like conditions are coming at you, what you need to do, and you still got fruits on there and you don't want them to freeze, is that you can actually mitigate this by using the KNF medicine. So Master Cho calls this Oriental Herbal Nutrient. I call it KNF medicine. But what it is alcohol mixed with these herbs. And let's see here. What am I going to do? I'm going to pull this up and switch this over like this. So in the Pure KNF book here, And scrolling down, the knfMedicine, the Oriental herbal nutrient, it consists of garlic, ginger, licorice, cinnamon, angelica, and angelica. Right? There's 2 parts angelica into this. They're all combined. And all those get combined and then dilute it 1 to 1,000 and spray it out. And what it does is it is a biostimulant. It helps all the microbes in your system as well as the plant itself heat up a little bit. And the alcohol absorption, you know, if you take alcohol, you'll notice like, I haven't drank for a while, but you'll heat up, maybe even start sweating a little bit. It heats your body up. But then when you combine it with garlic, ginger, licorice, cinnamon, and angelica, all those are also warming herbs. And those help to heat your body up. And you can actually avoid frosts. So if you know it's coming out a few hours before this, you know, before evening time, if it's going to frost overnight, spray out a light dose. Just get everything lightly misted with the herbal nutrient, the knfMedicine, and you can avoid frost damage. Your neighbors will get frost damage, but you won't. So instead of going out and like burning torches and trying to heat up, you know, cause more global warming or cooling, whatever whatever side of the spectrum you're on, you can actually do it with this way of doing it. So if you have some, you know, herbal nutrient on hand, go and do this, and you know you will avoid that. So that's my one tip for that. And then there's another question here from All One Same. I wonder if you're into the Dr. Bronner's All One. I was just eating a chocolate bar the other day and it was like All One, and I was like, yeah, but mid-grade chocolate. Can you make solutions and IMOs in the winter in Zone 7? And the answer is, let me just, for my own knowledge here, let me just pull up, because people say Zone 7, and for me, I live in Hawaii. I'm not even sure what zone I live in. But let's look at this plant hardiness map here. You're verifying if I'm a human. I swear to you, I'm a robot. And then you're popping something up immediately. How do I get rid of that? Why? I don't want to see your advertisement. I'm not going to subscribe. I swear to you. Okay, this website. Okay, if I avoid that edge. Okay, 7B. Now I'm colorblind. This is no good for me. If I hover over it, it shows me this stuff. I don't want to see that. Come on. Okay. 7B. I'm assuming New York. Gotta be in here. 7B. I'm colorblind. This is terrible for me. Oh, this is another reason why I don't use these zones. That's 7. Oh, does it help me if I just... No, it gives me the state name. Come on. Help the colorblind people out. Don't color code your maps. Zone 7. I don't know much about... this is useless to me. Sorry. Yeah. Hardiness zone. Do these guys help colorblind people? No, they color code it as well. Okay. You know what's helpful is this. At least this is a wiki. I always use Wikipedia because it always pops first. But let's see here. What is this? -12. Okay, so I think this is the your 5 to 10. I think that, what does this mean? From to. Okay. So I guess this means the temperatures it drops down to at night. I'm just going to guess here. So it looks like it gets cold in 7B. It gets down to 5 to 10, 0 to 5. So you're below freezing for sure. 7, right? I mean, I'm just trying to interpret what this means, because to me, I live in Hawaii. It's always the tropics, man. I don't worry about weather. It's either raining or not. So let's see. Okay, so I don't know. I'm scrolling on this just to find any other information. I don't think it's really helping me. Okay, here the American. Okay, from 261. What is this? What is this, the summer? I don't know if I'm reading this right. Maybe you guys can help me on this. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Zone 7 is extreme temperatures in summer and winter. Can get into the high 90s or higher in the summer and below 0 in winter. Okay. Thanks for clarifying, because that helps me out a lot. Okay. So basically, if you're dropping below freezing in winter, and I would say that it is better, like your ideal time to make the microbes, the IMOs, is kind of early spring, like as you're just leaving winter. That's like the best time. But if you but then, you know, you also, early spring, you got a lot of other things you're probably trying to accomplish, and it's not the most downtime where you can watch a pile. So doing it in winter is not a bad idea. I don't know if he's on here today, but Stonemason, who's in Indiana, where it freezes in winter, he basically set up a thing inside where he has a raised, in his greenhouse, and then in a raised box, he actually was able to do the IMOs. And one of the favorable things about doing the IMOs in winter is that you don't run into as high temperature runaway, because it's easier to vent them and cool them down. Like a turning plus exposure of taking your grass layer off the top, your straw layer off the top, and exposing it to the air and turning it, you really lower the temperature. And then once you cover it back up and insulate it, they'll go about doing it. Now, if it's too cold, it means stack your pile taller and make your insulation layer thicker. So if you're putting hay on top, put more hay on top, and that's actually a really good time to turn IMOs, is in the winter, especially if it's dropping below freezing. The microbes will grow a bit slower, but still things will happen. Now, your other solutions, such as making plant... Oh, what's up, Allie from Missoula? Zula in the house, yeah. Cat Grizz, I think, is coming up. Was it? I don't know. I got a thing from those guys saying Cat Grizz was soon. I don't know when it was. Maybe it's in November. I'm not sure. Go Cats. No, sorry. But in the winter, so plant juice in the winter, it's challenging because all your plants don't really have fruits and they're frozen. So I would say that is definitely an early spring thing to do. And it only takes 5 to 7 days, 10 days at the most in spring. So that's hard to do. But other solutions, such as the calcium phosphate, the reproduction, the structure, burning some bones. Hey, you already got probably fires going. So, char some bones, char some eggshells, or not char, but toast some eggshells, char some bones. Probably don't breathe in that smoke, but those are good. They'll dissolve out throughout the winter. Great thing to do. Watch it just lava lamp out for a week or so. And what else? Great time to do KNF medicine. Get all your herbs tincturing. You're just there, stirring the jar each day or turning. I kind of shake them, to be honest. But shaking the jars each day, great time. Plus, you can take little nips of that to taste to make sure, warm yourself up a little bit. And making KNF protectors, culturing your lactobacillus. It's probably just going to take longer, but if you culture it, inside your house type of thing would be good. And then, KNF cleanser, another one to do. It just takes so long to do, many months. So you may as well get a cleanser going. And the fish aminos, the fuel here, you could do it in the winter, but I would, nothing, it's just going to take longer. Nothing's going to hurt it per se, but I would say it's a great time to do IMOs. Granted, it's not the best time to get an IMO 1 collection. So get your collection before it freezes in the winter. I mean, it's probably a little late now, because it's, extreme temperatures fluctuating. But so if you had an IMO1 from earlier, the fall or the spring, those would be best. But it's a little late to go collect it now if you don't have one. And if you're going to go the ultra cheap route, like if I scroll down to the end of the book here, and I get down to the disgustingly cheap microbes, and you're doing these in the winter, and I was actually just looking at this here, and I was looking at some photos here. And I was looking at this. So here's another example of that where, a big barrel, and then you have your microbes kind of bubbling, and you can see this nice bubble ring and all this. So if you're doing this type of method and you got your microbes dangling in there and your starch dangling in there, put a bucket heater in there and keep it, 50 to 60 degrees, somewhere in that region. And then it'll go faster. If your water freezes and it gets too cold, it won't happen. So throw a little bucket heater in there if you're going to go that route. But yeah, this was a, nice microbe, disgustingly cheap way of going about it. So yeah, and I would say it's a lot easier to do it winter, fall, spring than it is in summer if it's going to get those extreme heats. So plan on it, do it well, get those things ahead of it and do it right. Soup season, soup. Let's see what else is going to get into here. What's up, Cecily? Hey, tuning in from the UK. She's headed back to Australia on Tuesday. She's taking KNF medicine every day, staying warm up there in the UK. 5 mils every day, and it's a lifesaver. I was 81 yesterday with a pacemaker going strong. Hey, happy birthday! And yeah, that's cool. Keep healthy heart, healthy mind, healthy body. All these things my wife keeps reminding me. I gotta stay healthy because she wants to live long with me. It's like, okay, I think I can do that. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, solution zone. So yeah, all that's possible. Okay. Rach Linger. Okay, I'm gonna try and pronounce this properly. I'm trying not to learn and not get and learn then get over. Trying to learn then get overwhelmed. Okay, so she's trying to learn and then getting overwhelmed. Still not understanding. Not sure where to start. And I need medicine. Oh, okay. Well, so a classic thing where to start with KNF. Where to start? I got an ear itch. Hang on. Opposition. Where to start with KNF? I would say start here. So these disgustingly, well, first off, if you grab this book, it's pretty good. Check out the videos, check out the office hours, go look at them. But this book gives you a kind of overview, gets you in, lets you know of all the solutions. All these are Master Cho's, and then they have disgustingly cheap versions of them that are Jadams. Kind of outlines how to build these basic solutions, how to apply them. It may look like a lot, and it can be overwhelming but I try to simplify it. And I would say if you're going to start with one solution, you want to start somewhere. I would say, I know I'm scrolling pretty fast here, but I would say start with the KNF food. Okay. This here, it's pretty easy. In wintertime, it's not necessarily the easiest because you got to gather plant material. But go gather those plants in the morning, just the tips, ferment them. If you read this, I think you should be pretty well off. There's a few videos. There's one dude that I don't recommend out there that is pretty popular, but he doesn't have the best methods. But you can watch that for reference, and then you'll learn and refine it and get better. It is a decent place to begin. And then I would also say start with your microbes. Start with this disgustingly cheap microbes recipe. And then the other place, if you're wanting to start and wanting to understand, if you click on the channel below, subscribe. You don't need to subscribe, but if you go, hang on, let me stop this, and I'm going to go to my channel here, just so you can see this, where you would see it. I think yours looks fairly similar to this. Let me pull it over. But where I would start if you're completely new and you're getting overwhelmed is go and check out this Pure KNF Solutions and Microbial Theory. Okay? And watch that as a noob into it. And so this thing, you'll get you a good intro into it. There's all the office hours here. You know, you can search them, KNF support. I do have videos on the solutions themselves, on how to make them. You know, here's making a plant juice right here. And then also, you know, a starting recommendation is you check out this, you know, if you got a bunch of time, check out this KNF certification course. It's a really good, or this intro, you know, these are, I've done these a while ago, but these are good. Master Cho talks about these, you know, like how to get into these. Elaine Ingham gives you the soil theory. Cho Young Song teaching about his cheap ones. And then, you know, so there's a lot of starting points. It's like, but I can see overwhelming. There's a lot to get into, but if you were to just do, you only had a tiny bit of time, 2 hours to, you know, the last part is the question and answer. I would start with this one because I break it down in pure English. It's an overview. It tells how they all work together, and then it explains the microbes pretty simply. And then if you want to dive in deeper, I would go with this one here, this KNF certification course, and then maybe also this one or these. Yeah, stonemason in the house, all you guys. But yeah, check out the channel, start exploring, browse. You know, you can always click this videos tab, and then you just like, you know, you get all the videos I've made, and it just goes on for days. You can just scroll here and, you know, see how many videos I've put out, thousands of them. And, you know, that can be overwhelming, but you can also search and find good things. You know, pick something that's appealing, something with a high view count. I don't know. You know, anyway, or you can just come here, take a class, and that's the most, you know, for whatever your situation is. Feel free to ask any questions here. Tune into the office hours. Show up Sundays, ask questions. I'll help you out, you know, as best as I can. Make it into your situation. Try and help you out. So I'm going to answer this question from Allie here, talking about worm castings and how do they and how leachates and how do they fit into KNF? Are there other ways to enhance this with other KNF solutions? So if I pull up the recipe book and I look, so I'm going to pull up the recipe book here and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to pull up here where I'm looking at how to make the microbes. So start with seed IMO, then you get propagated, then you get activated IMO. Maybe that's not the clearest, but you get your seed IMOs. Worm castings don't really help you here, but then you get into propagating your microorganisms. And here, right here, I'll zoom in here, and it says adding 1 to 1,000 humic and fulvic acids. So what that is, worm castings are full of humic and fulvic acids. They're that nice brown color to tan color when you dilute them, and those are humics and fulvics, which are very complex carbohydrates. Like if I look this up and I look up fulvic acid, you know, I'm going to go pull up the Wikipedia on this. Is there a Wikipedia? There got to be one here, right here. Humic acid. Okay. So it's under humic acids, humic substances. Worm castings, worm leachate are full of these. Worm leachate, one thing you got to worry is that if you let it get anaerobic and kind of super stinky, it's not as good. So using your worm leachate fresh is where it's at. But the worm castings are full of humic acid. and fulvic acid. And these, basically, they're like fungal foods. You want to grow fungus, you want to get beneficial, thick, nice, beneficial, indigenous microorganisms. Worm castings are the key for these guys. They love them, and it works really well. So, but you can read about, here it's talking about, it's a large molecular complex of the soil humome that confer humic matter, its bioactivity in soil, and its role as a plant growth promoter. So they're plant growth promoters. They help the soil, all these things. And it totally fits in. You can combine them anytime you're using plant, anything. You can add them in 1 to 1,000, 1 to 500. Dilute it in that range. You're not going to get burning. You can even apply them stronger than that in soil drenches, because they're going to go into the soil. But if you're going to spray them directly on plants, I dilute them, 1 to 200, 1 to 1,000, somewhere in that range. Find what works for you. There's leachate may be different than humic acid, but it's always the less on is not to be a moron. So even though it seems like more would be better, sometimes less is better. And these are the things, like when you're looking at these worm leachates, they're these complex carbon chains. And I mean, this is just one of them, right? But here's fulvic acid. It's this complex carbon, hydrogen, oxygen chain here that it just fuels the microbiome. It fuels the soil. These also are super good at tying up toxins. These carbon chains will be able to like buffer, similar to like liquid biochar almost. They'll tie up, like if you have too many salts in your soil, worm juice is really good. These humic compounds tie everything up. So worm juice, all those things, they're just amazing. Plus the worm juice themselves, I'm going to get out of, ancient masonry, since stonemasons here. Archaeological finds in ancient Egypt use mud bricks reinforced with straw and humic acid. So if you're also trying to build a house out of mud, worm juice, that's your friend. But what I was going to say, the worm's microbiome is also complex. And so if you're getting fresh liquid fresh leachate, fresh castings, you're able to bubble the castings, make them aerobic, or fresh castings and just drip them in water and get that nice solution out. You're going to get the microbiome from your worms, which is also like, it's unique, but it's really good. Worms are just out there eating dirt or compost or breaking it down. And worms are, kind of like miracle animals doing their thing. So I can't recommend it enough. If you're doing the worms, mix it in with anything else, 1 to 500, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 200 maybe. If you're going to drench, maybe 1 to 20, like dilutions. But again, the less on is not to be a moron. So anyway, I just always, even though I get excited about these things, I'm always saying, ease up on them and do it. One thing I know is that my mom uses the worm juice. She has a little mini worm farm and she loves it. It's amazing. It eats all her, she cuts up the papayas real small, puts them in there, takes really good care of her worms. And then she uses it on her orchids and there's no fungal issues. And the orchids just pop, they're just, it's gorgeous. And she talked before about, she would tell this story about how she was spraying all this poison to deal with funguses. And she was like, what the hell am I doing? And then stopped growing orchids. And then her friend told her, why, use the worm tea. And now she does. And the orchids are amazing. And so one solution I know she does is, instead of watering the orchids and watering it in, she'll take the orchids and make a sink or a tub full and put the worm tea just in there diluted, and then take the orchids and soak them in and just set them in there for about 5-10 minutes once a week, and then put them back where she has them around the house. And that's enough to just keep them powered up and give them nutrients, everything they need. Because the interesting thing about orchids is they're not in the ground. They usually grow like on a plant. I don't know what that's called. Someone probably knows the technical name, but they'll just whatever's dripping down from the plant is what they're eating, which is very similar to worm tea / Humics / Fulvics that are coming off the bark and all that. So anyway, interesting. If you're doing like aeroponic type stuff, worm tea, man, yeah, it's going to be great. So I don't specifically talk about it as a KNF solution, but because it's not something you make, it's something worms make, and you just use those. But I hope that gives you an understanding of worms and how they fit in. They're amazing. I just tell you, you can't really go wrong with worms, unless they're too many and they're in you. Which anyway, I don't think those are the type of worms you're talking about. Let's see here. Eyewitness, he's been diluting most of the solutions in a gallon every day to drink during the day, and I believe it's contributing to your overall health considerably. Awesome. I need to up my game on that. And we need boron. I know I do. So boron, why not pull up, let's see if Wikipedia just has boron. If I type boron, let's see. Yeah, it did. Okay. So boron, it's boring. No, it's boron. It's great. It's a small crystalline metalloid. So it's in a low elemental thing here. And boron helps a lot of other stuff do its thing. It's in meteorites too. So you can just buy borax in the store instead of buying boron. Buy borax, dilute that stuff, throw it around. And which I think is interesting here. The history boron, coined from borax, is the mineral from which it was isolated by analogy with carbon. So which boron resembles chemically. So because carbon and boron are similar to each other, I think that's a huge key. Like they're just octaves of each other. And boron, let's see, allotropes, chemistry, atomic structures. Let's just skip all this boring stuff. But look how many different shapes it can take. And I think that's one of the keys of what it does. It's a shapeshifter. Just like carbon, it can build different structures, and I think that it's that's part of why it works. Organoboron, TLDR, man, come on. But it can be like one of those keys that if you add a little bit of it, it unlocks everything else. Let's see, I'm just TLDR. Sorry, I'm scrolling really fast. I'm just looking for anything interesting. And insecticide, it works well against ants, fleas, and cockroaches. So, as a natural, just you scatter around your baseboards, and you won't have those animals coming in. Insects, I guess. It's an insect and animal. Pretty sure it is. It's also used in pyrotechnic flares. So, if you want your microbes to have fun, throw some of it in there. Anti-corrosion systems. So apparently it'll stop oxidization. It's used in jet fuel. Let's see. Biological role. Here's what I was looking for. Man, that's a long article. Though boron plays an essential role in animals, including humans, the exact physiological role is poorly understood. So, but apparently it's important, but we just don't understand it. So you need it, and trust me. So studies suggest it helps with the calcium metabolism, bone formation, brain function, insulin, energy, substrate metabolism, immunity, steroid hormones, vitamin D function, among others. So this thing looks pretty important. And so, and then it's up here, it says nearly all plants, even though somewhat tolerant to soil boron, will show toxicity symptoms when it's greater than 1.8 parts per million. So again, don't be a moron with this. Be easy on it, but it looks like it's super important for a lot of things. It also helps reduce inflammatory biomarkers. So if you're having any inflammation, maybe boron is what you need. And it's in a naturally balanced diet. There even exists several known boron-containing antibiotics. So boron, if you get it in there, then it'll help your microbes be more robust. So anyway, I do think, here's what boron toxicity looks like. The toxicity. A lot of things look like that too, but anyway, but yeah, boron is in the seawater. Who's saying that? Seawater has boron, everything else in it. Access to the ocean is invaluable to grow food. Yes. So just get seawater, sea salt. You'll get enough boron from that. Probably in the right ratio that you need anyway. Yeah. So boron, yeah. Let's see. Okay, yeah, straight up. Okay, let's see. It's my favorite thing about people that are 81 is they eat McDonald's without any care. It's so good. I love McDonald's. But definitely not an everyday McDonald's. Every time I go there, I'm impressed with the quality though, for the price. I'm just like, whoa. Anyway, I'm not a McDonald's hater, even though I'm like a natural guy. I try to eat local, but I also love corporate America. It's been great. I know some people will hate me. Put it in the comments below if you disagree, right? Like, come on, you guys. Like, look around you at everything came from a corporation and then try and hate on those. But hey, I'm not saying everything's great. Opposition, what's up? Opposition in the house. I like Mitchell. He's throwing on some corn for the gym. I hope it's Freak on a Leash. One of my favorite albums. I used to listen to that almost every day going to high school. Nothing gets you in the mood for high school like listening to Korn. What's up, Mark? Mark up in Oregon, man. You've been traveling. Where's Brookings, Oregon? Let's just see. I'm gonna see Brookings, Oregon. Why not just Wikipedia stuff while people are around on here? TripAdvisor, let's just see. We'll pull up the Wikipedia. Where is it in Oregon? No map. Come on. Okay, it's down in the left corner. Oh, it's right above Northern California. Cool. That looks like a sweet place, man. That area down there, oh man, the redwoods and stuff. Oh, I love that area. Yeah, look at this. Oh, look at that beach. Man, seawater for days, Mark. Got to start marketing that stuff. Mark's marketed stuff. Look at this palm trees. It's mild, apparently. Look at that palm tree. And those pickup trucks. You're in good company of folks if there's pickup trucks. And let's see. Look at this harbor. Oh, man, that looks peaceful. And what else? The beach again. The beach. Yeah, the beach. Bet you there's those sand dollar things out there. Cool. Awesome, Mark. Okay. Let's get back on this. Okay. Let's see. Epiphytes. Epiphytic. Someone got it. Epiphytes. Yep. They grew up in trees. That's what I was talking about. The orchids. Epiphytes. Yeah. Makes sense. Cool. Jungle cactus. Joe is saying he makes worm castings in place. He just puts a layer of fallen leaves on the garden. If you go out at night with a flashlight, you can see hundreds of worms scattering when you shine the light on them. Yeah, I highly recommend just in situ worm casting. I do want to bring up one point, though, is that there's a difference between like composting worms, which are like red wigglers, and the blue worms, and earthworms. There is a difference. They're not interchangeable. And I don't know how the leachate comes out of each, but earthworms, amazing things. Highly recommend just in situ trying to encourage them. But composting worms also have their place for composting. But yeah, and one of the best things about IMO is once you put out your IMO, you you encourage worms. Worms love it. Like if you sprinkle IMO on top, you'll see the worms will come to the surface. So you want to encourage worms in the ground. Hey, thank you, Stonemason. IMOs feed the worms. It makes the ground happy. It all works well together. So, hey, thanks, Cheryl. Oh man. Oh, thank you. Oh, yay. Cool. It's always nice to get the flow coming in. Thank you. I can't say enough. It's thank you. Okay. And then before I dive into this, oh man, we only got 4 minutes left. Man, the time flew. Okay, so let's see. We'll go through all that. We got borax for humans. Okay. Yeah, borax for humans, great. Low dilute, very dilute, do all that. 30 minutes from Crescent City. I don't know where that is, but sounds awesome. Okay, yeah, thanks for the super chats, you guys. Okay, so I got two more things. One thing I wanted to cover, and then another thing that I wanted to cover. Okay, so what do I think about GMOs, genetically modified organisms? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, not great microorganisms, but genetically modified organisms. My thought on GMOs is that messing with the biome and thinking you're doing good is probably not the best idea. I actually have an interesting familial history with that because my family my dad retired now, but he used to be in the papaya industry, and one of the first genetically modified organisms licensed for commercial use was the Hawaiian papaya. They used it to combat ring spot, and I can tell you number one is that it was because of poor practices, because of chemical farming where they completely killed the soil microbiome, and because they decimated the plant's ability to uptake what it needs from the soil, and they were chemically farming. That is why the ring spot got out of hand. I mean, people could debate me, opposition, put it in the comments. But that poor farming practices are what necessitated it. Then you start to get in, and so that was how they cracked the door open, was the Hawaiian papaya. So I have direct familial history because we're involved in the papaya industry here for my dad for a decade of his life. He didn't start that way. He actually started propagating fruit trees and all that. And so don't let the GMOs bring you down. It's not like he did it himself. But I met the guy, Dr. Gonzalez, who invented the first GMO. He came here, great guy, trying to do good for the earth, not realizing the broader pictures, not understanding the microbiome of the whole system, not understanding poor farming practices. They were just trying to get something to work so they could continue to do chemical farming. And most of the funding comes from the chemical industry, so it's really hard to get studies to understand other ways. So that's how GMOs got here. And then after they got the Hawaiian papaya out there, they're like, well, there's GMOs out there, so we can do these ones. And that's where they started mixing in like BT, Bacillus thuringiensis in there. And then they started to put in Roundup Ready genes and splicing other bacteria into plants. And I don't think any of that's necessarily that great for you. We're living in real time to see what the long-term history and effects of these will be. I know there's a number of health problems out there, and I'm not saying it's from those by modifying organisms. I'm just saying that we don't know. We are a living experiment of what is happening on a multi-generational scale. I know I know certain bacteria swap DNA in and out all the time. So they do it. So microbes in you are constantly GMOing themselves. So I don't think that the technology itself is inherently bad. You start getting into CRISPR where you can do things. I just think that it largely, I don't know if you should consume the things. I don't know. That's a long-term experiment. And number two is that it's just a Band-Aid for poor farming practices. It's like we have a sepsis wound underneath, and we're just putting a Band-Aid on the top to be like, yay, now it works. And it, sure, you hid the the core of where the wound was like oozing out of you with a Band-Aid, but you didn't fix the underlying infection, which is like, poor farming practices, really. If you had a fertile, abundant earth, you wouldn't need a genetically modified thing to avoid one disease. You'd actually improve the whole microbiome, the whole soil, the whole thing, and you'd get it. So I'm not 100% opposed to GMOs. I know people that do that stuff. CRISPR's, and it's an interesting technology, but I don't think it's long-term the right way to go. I think building our soil's better, and I'm not sure what happens if you consume it for a whole lifetime. And if you are interested in GMOs, I don't mention this that often, but microbialsecret.org. So microbialsecret.org here. I'm pull this up. See, so this is a podcast I did all the time. I used to do all the time. And then if you go up here, it doesn't even work anymore. I gotta maintain this. But under episodes here, I talked to Lucas Cambic here about genetic magic and electrobiology, and there's my caricature of Lucas here, but these, this expanding tree and all this. And we talked about Tesla coils, other things, but this guy was making GMOs. He was a university student doing a lot of GMOs, and a lot of that CRISPR tech comes out of Hawaii. For better, for worse, we've done a lot of stuff to mess with the earth in Hawaii. And so I did get into this, and you can listen to the first hour free here, on, and then, if you want the second hour, you got to subscribe. But I think the GMO stuff is really great. And I really enjoyed making that podcast. Lucas is an amazing dude. He did suffer a head injury just before my interview with him. He used to be like a super whiz, and then once he got his head injury, it was harder for him to think a little bit. So anyway, but he's a blessed brethren out there. Good friend of mine. We kind of have a tight circle of friends that I used to live with those guys, and known a guy for a long time. So anyway, so all that. Hey, what's up, Goof? Good to see you, man. Been missing you. I don't know. Maybe you've been in the chat, but anyway. So yeah, GMO is a big thing to get into. IMO is probably a better solution. And then the last thing I did want to leave with today, because this is something I already pulled up here, is that when I was talking to Bronson, he was working with the extension, and he thanked me specifically for Pure KNF Foundation sponsoring this episode here that you're seeing right now. Happening, a great organization doing cool things out there. And then if you go up to pureknf.org to see that, and you hit on this research tab, you will find that there's all these papers, and all these papers are put out as scientific research papers. And for him to get peer-reviewed papers for the extension, that's all they care about is peer-reviewed stuff. And so he was thanking me for this. So I just mentioned that to you guys here as a resource that's out there. And Pure KNF Foundation, we're always trying to make it better, do more things. They bring you this. They also bring you KNF support right here. You click on that guy. It brings you up this new tab here with KNF support, which has the office hours here. And I got to answer a few questions. I've been putting these off for a week. I'm trying to get better solutions than just answering by saying we're working on it, but I'm trying to actually get things implemented. But the book, you can download it here, can search, can do all these things. So if you want more, of course, those of you that are long-term members know these things are here. But KNF support, great using these, searching, finding answers. Goofman, awesome. He helps out with this, and it's just like epic. I mean, he has some of the best answers out there. And then lastly is my class is still coming up at knffarm.com. Here, knffarm.com, pull that up. And I do have a class coming up like in a week, or it's close. It's like T-minus. I'm getting ready for it already. So I'm already buying the supplies and things. So do have a class coming up. If you want to get on it last minute, no worries, jump in. It's great. And then I also have another offering coming up in January. So if you do want to check those things out, learn, get good, get, get just like your top shelf into learning about natural farming, getting the ins and outs, being here, that experience is probably priceless. But all those things. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the community. Thanks for, dealing with all this opposition. What has to happen is happening. Learn the bigger lessons. Try not to resist too many things. Have a great thing. Thanks, Master Cho. Thanks to the Pure KNF Foundation. Thanks to Flat Eric. Thanks to Cheryl, Stonemason, Bird, all those that dropped super chats today. And then thank you all for tuning in and being part of the community. Like, share, subscribe, I don't know, or just be a better person in general. That's probably worth more than anything. And I'll be back next week, I think. Yeah, probably. I'm almost always here. Oh, and one last thing. Check it out. I'm wearing a shirt from Bozeman. So what's up, Allie? my mom and sister went up to Glacier National Park this summer, and they stopped through Bozeman and they ate at the Naked Noodle. So if you're from that area and you know what I'm talking about, yeah, like, subscribe, baby, or whatever. Just, go get a Naked Noodle for me. Or a La Paria, or what else is good there? A pickle barrel, maybe a pickle barrel. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, thanks. Blessings. Love you all. I'm gonna go away. I think I'm gonna do one of those quick slides again. Okay. So, love you. Peace. Bye.